Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program. I'm Taimur Shamil. 11 September 2001 was the day when US was attacked. 4 airliners were hijacked only to hit Pentagon and World Trade Center. And after that, the world changed. There were terrorists in Afghanistan who were accused of supporting these attacks, and Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan. Pakistan was obviously was adversely affected by the operations and the attack that was planned by the NATO forces and the US in Afghanistan. And Pakistan since then has been fighting war on terror at the front line. Today we are going to discuss about 9/11 and its aftermaths and its effects on Pakistan. And for that we have our guests in the studios. Let me introduce them. Our first guest is Mr. Ambassador Shahid Kiani. So thank you so much for joining us. And our second guest is Mr. Faheem Sardar. He's a senior economist and he's Chief Executive Officer, Askari Securities. Thank you so much for joining us. My first question, Ambassador Shahid Kiani. After going for and being an ally of US and NATO forces, Pakistan since then has been fighting war on terror, and it has been adversely affected by its policy against terrorism. Pakistan has paid a big cost. What is your take?
Well, the thing is that before I say something about the impact of the post 9/11 events, let me just take you a little back. The thing is that this thing, what happened on 9/11, naturally was a big, disaster, big surprise for everybody as to how a iconic building in the United States could be attacked, or how come United States is attacked. But how we came into it, which was most unfortunate, that we have to see that it was the way we handled the post-Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979, which created the problems. And believe it or not, many people in Pakistan were not surprised when the US pressurized Pakistan into doing certain things, pressurized. And unfortunately, there was no democratic government in Pakistan, so there was no consensus as to what should have been done. But nevertheless, United States, our geopolitical location is such that we have always had a negative implication on Pakistan. But whenever something has happened in Afghanistan or something happens in India, we are at the center of this.
But obviously,
problem.
we can't ignore it because we are the neighboring country. Whatever happens in Afghanistan or India, we are going to be directly affected by that. And we were this was the second time. First was the Russian invasion, and then there was US in Afghanistan.
Yes, and the thing is that even when the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan took place, we did not handle it in the manner we should. We should not have become part of that war, believe it or not. We should have handled it in a manner the way Iranians handled it. They kept the Afghan refugees on the border and contained their entry into the country, because believe it or not, the proliferation of the Afghani refugees, our generosity.
Don't you think that Pakistan's case was different than Iran? The way we were associated with the US, Iran had a different situation.
This is what has happened is that they also welcome the refugees. We also welcome the refugees. We are still having those 3 million refugees in our country, and it pales when we talk about the refugees, the Syrian refugees going into the Western countries. It pales. Our generosity is far better. But the thing is that we did not handle it in the manner it should. We allowed all Tom, Dick, and Harry, refugees, these Afghan, to proliferate into our cities, into our towns, cities, even villages, where many of them who were not, believe it or not, they were not those who were looking for jobs. They were those who were implanted there. They created problems. They then what they provided safe havens to other what's called these jihadi elements from other countries who ran away from their own countries. After 9/11, they came and settled in our cities and this thing. Therefore, United States had a first-hand information that these people who were abettors or part of the conspiracy, they are in our country, and that is why one of the pressure put on Pakistan was that they should be delivered to us.
The thing is, the debate is that if you are planning to, let's say, help US in Afghanistan, you need to have an infrastructure, you need to have a system, institutions that are going to handle or tackle the refugees and other problems that are going to come with them. We didn't have that infrastructure at that time.
The thing is that we had provincial high commissioner provincial commissioner for refugees in all provinces. It were there, but they were handling the refugees. We did not care to ensure that only refugees should be kept, they should be provided humanitarian assistance, and then we should plan. And then the second was, how do we plan to send them back? It's been 3 decades. It's been 3 decades. They are here. Not only they are here, there's another problem.
See,
which I want to,
because we don't have peace in Afghanistan. The international community, the
agree.
international powers and
I agree. Let me just state very clearly. There have been, major part of our efforts have been to, to ensure that Afghanistan becomes stable. There's no doubt about it. So that we are able to have, normal relations with Afghanistan, a peaceful Afghanistan, which also secures the border. But there have been elements in Pakistan who are looking for strategic depth in Afghanistan, which has created problems for now, for the successful government, even this government.
Mr. Faheem Sardar, talking about the policy that Pakistan needs to have. First, there was Russian invasion, and then there was U.S. attack in Afghanistan, U.S. invasion. Pakistan's economy obviously went through turmoil and chaos. What is your take? Do we need to have a better economic policy?
I think it's a very interesting question, but it cannot be answered so easily, because firstly we have to, I would just like to add to what Ambassador Saab was saying, that basically we have to understand where we are. We're in an area that is in the center of the earth. It's not in some corner. And the great game which the English were playing is still being played. There's nothing new about this. The grand chessboard by Zbigniew Brzezinski, this is still happening. So we need to be a little more, let's just say, realistic about things. I'm going to talk about economics, but this is also a reality, that there is a political economy. You can't just talk about economics in isolation. Being in the center of the earth does give you a lot of opportunities. And frankly speaking, we know that Balochistan, we know that Punjab, Sindh, Khyber, and even Kashmir, they have minerals, they have lots of economic benefits for the whole region, not just for Pakistan. Our policy, if I understand your question correctly, because it's actually the question sounds very simple, but it's pretty big. We did the best we could. That's what I'll say. I could be wrong, but that is what it appears to be in hindsight. When you're dealing with superpowers, one after the other, you do the best you can. Pakistan's economy went through a cataclysm. In my opinion, in my research, it went through 3 stages since 2001. The first one, it lasted up till 2007, which was basically a mini boom. Then from 2008 to 2011, there was a plateau period. Then from 2012 onwards, there's been a very strange thing that's happened to Pakistan. We faced international negativity, but your economy showed resilience, frankly, for more than 10 years. These are facts. I'm not making this up. When those attacks happened, if those were attacks, I mean, we don't know. But after that, there was a war on the face of this earth. And at that time, Pakistan's economy, the size of the economy, was roughly less than $100 billion per year. Now we're standing at close to 300 billion. So what happened over the years?
We have benefited from...
I'll qualify my answer, because we can't say we have benefited from it. I believe we've learned some things from it. But it has been a very, very harsh trial by fire. Because when some superpower comes and imposes some kind of a war on you, it's very difficult for you to sort of extricate yourself out of it. The English did it in the British Raj, the Russians have done it, the Chinese have done it, the Japanese, so it's human nature. But you have to be astute enough to sort of pick something out of it. Now, I will obviously focus only on economics here. Pakistan, in the last stage, which is from approximately 2012 onwards, Pakistan has shown a very interesting resilience, economic resilience. You have got the GDP growing at a very healthy pace, despite a third and fourth generation war scenario.
Right.
You have been able to export stuff more. In 2011, we exported 20 billion. That was the first time in the history of Pakistan we exported $20 billion worth of something. Mind you, our exports were going up. Yes, we do have a trade deficit, which is approximately 24 billion as we speak, but our size has grown.
Right.
And when we analyze, for example, what the economy went through, and with that, we have to attach another point to it, which is the so-called aid we get. If you take that as a percentage of your GDP, it's actually less than peanuts. And it's getting smaller as Pakistan's economy size is growing.
Mr. Shahid, terrorist attacks in Pakistan killed innocent people. So many innocent people lost their lives. The military leadership has been fighting terrorism since then, since 2001. The civil leadership is fighting terrorism. What do you think? How can we curb this evil now? And since Pakistan invited the wrath of these terrorists from Afghanistan who were penetrating Pakistan.
You see, I'm happy that you have asked this question. I always would say to you, before coming and answering your question, this is the blowback from the 1979 invasion of Afghanistan, where we had these jihadis from all Tom, Dick and Harry countries hiding in our, even, forget the tribal areas, hiding in our towns and cities. And successive governments have shown some sort of resolve to fight this evil. Only the tragic incidents of the Army Public School in Peshawar woke us up, literally. Now you look at this time, it gladdens my heart, believe it or not. If you look, just go 10 or 2 weeks back, with the army leadership and the political leadership courageously are on one page and resolving this war is going to, if you look at the Chief of Army Staff's speech on the 6th of September, honestly speaking, encouraged and gladdened the hearts of many. When he said two very important things. One, he said about the Indian threat. He said, okay, you want a cold or a hot war, we are ready. Second, he said about to take this fight against terrorism to its logical conclusion. It's not easy, believe it or not. But the fact is that they are now going to fight this war. Another very important thing has happened just 2-3 days back, which people should give much importance. The Chief of Army Staff and the Prime Minister met the madrasa, the so-called ulamas, and told them that no nonsense will now be tolerated. If you abet, you give sanctuaries to these people, then the full force of the government will come on you. Then another one I'm hearing is about the reform of the madrasas. Then about the abettors. People are there talking about criticism as to why are you going after the corrupt people. If there is a nexus,
at the same time, this is a mindset that we are going to curb.
Yes.
This is a mindset that we intend to finish, and that is not just a question of, let's say, a few days or weeks or months. This is a mindset that will take a little while.
It will, believe it or not, it took. You see, I always say, the 60s was the age of innocence when I was growing up in the school and college. Okay, and it took decades to bring what has happened now. It will take another decade or so, provided the military and the political leadership remain on the same page, the same resolve, the same courage. I tell you, the courage of the Prime Minister and the courage of the Chief of Army Staff. Right. We need to commend them for, believe it or not, I will repeat the word, it gladdens my heart.
Right after 9/11, Mr. Faheem Sardar, Pakistan experienced a series of bomb blasts. As you said, bombers were entering Pakistani cities, Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad, everywhere, and the economy obviously was affected terribly. But after that, if you see in last 2 years, since you were saying, things are getting better now. Now we see that Pakistan is curbing these terrorists. There were operations in Swat, South Waziristan and North Waziristan. What trends in economy do we see in last 2 years?
Well, the first thing is that you have to create the right perception. Pakistan is trying to create the right perception. What we experienced in the first fragment of the period 2001 to 2007 was that a superpower said to the world that Pakistan is very good. Is my friend and stuff like that. So that's one part of an economic process. Right now, we're not getting that from a superpower, but we are doing it ourselves. Here, you see, I'm repeatedly focusing on the resilience of the Pakistani nation. They have gone through a kind of unfortunate imposed civil war that no European country has ever seen. Even China could not sustain so much pressure. We came through it We're standing tall.
Is your point that Pakistan became an ally on war on terror, and even then the superpowers, let's say, or the international community didn't realize the price that Pakistan was paying for
They realize it
fighting war on
perfectly.
terror?
They just don't care. Why should they care? Because in international, even economics, you don't care about the other person. You care about your own interests. Who cares? Why should they care? They know perfectly well what Gwadar is. They know perfectly well what CPEC is. They know perfectly well what our deposits in Balochistan are. They know perfectly well what our strategic weapons are. I'm not going to talk too much about politics, but Pakistan is frankly speaking, in my eyes, a role model of how you can be self-resilient. You are going to have to deal with the biggest and the smallest. In our economic scenario, I'll just focus on economics, obviously. The way the Pakistani people have gotten back to work, the way they have just not lost faith in their country, the way they have brought back, what they believe is democracy. Okay, no, these things need to be celebrated, and they have an economic translation right now. And this might sound weird. Most of our economic problems, according to my estimate, 80% are our own manufactured problems. That means they can be fixed. You're not how much aid do you need? Truth be told, with a bit of fiscal discipline, you don't need any
So
aid.
how would you evaluate the support that was there from the, let's say, international powers for Pakistan?
I'll give you a statistic. It's in the period 2002 to 2013, the United States of America pledged $18 billion to Pakistan, and we received less than half. Every year, we have roughly $7 to $10 billion worth of problems. Now, in dollar terms, that's not much, but when you multiply it by 104, which is the current rupee-dollar parity rate, that is like 100 billion rupees going down the tubes. We're still sustaining it. So that means there is this resilience that you're coming up with. And you see people keep bringing up India. India grew when Pakistan was facing a war. So I see when you sort of put them on a level playing field and you analyze them, you come up with a very different analysis, because Pakistan has learned a lot from these years. How and why? Number one, people have understood that you have to focus on your economics just as much as you have to focus on politics. And right now, people are now focusing more on economics, which is very good. Second, we've produced results. With a GDP, official GDP of 260 billion, recognized by international agencies, in this time and era, you're still growing. So that means we're going further ahead.
Right.
Furthermore, my last point, at least on this question, look at how much tax Pakistanis are paying. Now, let's not get into the debate of who's doing what and the budget, and that is it's a separate discussion. But at the time of these, at the 11th September 2001, Pakistan was collecting something like 500 billion rupees in tax. We're collecting approximately 3 trillion. So I mean, we just need to, just for a second, gauge this tip of the iceberg concept in Pakistan. There is a reason we are resilient. There is a reason we're able to do things. And there is a reason, I'm going to say it again, we've learned a lot. And we have put a priority on economics now.
Oh, good to hear that. Mr. Shahid Kiani, primarily talking about the image that Pakistan now has in the West, or there was a time when Pakistan, while being an ally, also was portrayed or projected as a country which was at points supporting terrorists, and the terrorists were there in Pakistan, and Pakistan wasn't playing the right kind of role. What do you think about that? Do you think that now the perception has changed?
It has changed drastically, because now, you see, one has to give a lot of credit to the media, the way the media is looking at Pakistan. There was a time, if you look at the little joke, Time magazine portrayed on the first page that Pakistan is the most dangerous country. Those were in the past. In the last 1 year, since the Operation Zarb-e-Azm has commenced, the perspective of Pakistan, the vision of Pakistan has changed. The narrative of Pakistan has changed. I give a lot of credit to the ambassadors, the Western ambassadors, our development partners who are in Pakistan. If you go and meet them, they will tell you, because we are the war against terrorism has now reduced the number of the terrorist incidents in the country. not only the security force and the army focusing on the northern, on the tribal areas, but look at what has happened in Karachi. There are incidents, there are serious incidents still taking place, but the incidents have dropped. You cannot expect overnight results. This cannot happen. Then there is responsibility not only the security forces, but the political forces also, who should cooperate. When you talk about National Action Plan, they should cooperate. Nobody should hide their own people and say that my own leaders are okay, the other leaders of the other parties are wrong. They have to cooperate.
But
the
my
nexus,
point was the image that was
now I'm
portrayed.
coming to this. Now the image has improved because you see the leader, the people looking at Pakistan, they are fighting a war against terrorism. War against terrorism is not only for Pakistan. It's a worldwide phenomenon. But at least we are doing our own job. We will not allow our territory to be used against. We will not allow our territory to be used against terrorism in our neighboring countries also. We are being commended for this war, and it has shown results. The image is improving. Pakistan no more considered to be a country which harbors terrorists. Rather, it's a country which goes after the terrorists. When the leadership in the Pakistan said the terrorists are on the run, it is absolutely a correct statement. They will find no place to hide. That is why you see the National Action Plan in all the 4 provinces, where the Chief of Army Staff and the Prime Minister sit and talk and find as to what next to be done. I'm happy on one thing. They do not show full satisfaction. They say that much more need to be done, because only then they will be, when talk about economy, when the acts of terrorism will reduce, security will improve, only then the economy will improve, because then you will have the investors coming in Pakistan. When he talks about resilience, yes, that is it. Resilience will be, but security is one which has to improve visibly. The CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, is one gigantic project which has a very direct connection with the security in the country.
Now, do you think, Mr. Faheem Sardar, that after 9/11, Pakistan is getting, now the economy is getting better, now we have more opportunities, now we have more international investors in Pakistan as compared to 2001 and 2005 or 10?
Look, we need to be very clear about certain facts here. First of all, Pakistan's economy was doing better almost 5 years ago. These are facts. I'm not, once again, making it up. We just didn't talk about it. We just didn't celebrate it. We Pakistanis have this strange habit of not celebrating something big happening. We just let it fly by and we don't care. Now we're at least talking about it. Our economy is accelerating. It's not getting better. It is accelerating, which means it was already on a growth trajectory. Our markets give 2 to 3 digit returns. Which country on earth is giving 2 to 3 digit returns right now? Legal returns. Right now, we have to, obviously, the flip side is we have to be cognizant of the fact that the typical investor who we have presumed for the history of our country that to be the investor in Pakistan, he or she is not going to invest in Pakistan. You have new investors in Pakistan. They're in the form of Chinese.
And who were those typical investors that
we always talk about the West. We talk about America. We talk about England. We talk about France. That's fine. They had the money. I'm using a past tense here. Okay, they had the money. They don't have the money anymore. Now they've got other issues to take care of. That's their problem, not ours. Right now, the good news is we've got new investors. Obviously, the biggest is going to be China, or is China. And the second is, and I've been saying this for almost 2 years now, it's the Russians. Now, slowly but surely, you can see they're coming back. After 50 years, we've decided to have some kind of a relationship. And one thing which I have to stress here, because this is a slightly broader discussion compared to a typical economic discussion, Pakistan's economy is slowly, but I think surely, becoming a slightly more dynamic war economy. Now, this we have to take with a pinch of salt. If you start exporting heavy machinery, heavy equipment, that puts you in a different league, but it does earn you a lot of dollars. It earns you a lot of foreign currency. We've actually entered that arena. We haven't even celebrated it. Coming back to my original point. So things have changed. The paradigm has changed. And frankly speaking, we're not really waiting for somebody to say, oh, Pakistan is good. Those who wanted to invest in Pakistan have frankly started to pour in hard money without being told Pakistan is good, because they knew it. That Pakistan is good, yeah, let this things settle down just a bit.
Right. We'll take a break over here, and after the break, we'll discuss National Action Plan. We'll take a break. Welcome back. We are discussing National Action Plan, and for that we have our guest in the studios. Mr. Shahid, now what we can understand is from Mr. Faheem Sardar's point that we have more options now. We weren't earlier, maybe we weren't looking at other options, but now certainly we have other partners in the region internationally, and certainly now we have CPEC. That China is also investing in Pakistan. What do you think? Do you think that now things are going to improve? Now the economy is going to improve, the image is going to improve?
When this China-Pakistan economic corridor was inaugurated, or when the Chinese president was here, the statement made by the Prime Minister and other leaders was that it is a game changer.
Right.
And there is definitely no doubt about the game changer. The second statement you see of the Chief of Army Staff, he said that come what may, the CPAC, this project, will be implemented without any hiccups. And let there be no doubt about it. But when you talk about this thing, it is, let me just share with you, it is not some GT road or new road which is going to be made from Gwadar to China. It basically a cluster of these economic zones which will be there from one end to the other, benefiting the people of Pakistan. But for that, I have to say I'm going to a little different.
Right.
You have a huge mass of young people, graduating from these universities. But the thing is, this project can only be successful. Security is one thing which we are going to take care of it, and it is improving. The next is, are our people skilled? Are our people educated? You can only have this CPAC successful when you're able to start now. Now means now, to train your people, improve the skills. Look at the heavy mechanical complex when we made with Chinese help. When you're the diploma holders of the Polytechnic Institute, they were the ones trained by the Chinese. It's a successful project and institution. You have to do that. And prepare your people well now. Chinese will come at managerial post or sit there to implement, but your own people will be used.
Right.
If your people do not benefit, you see the economic clusters and economic zones, if your people are, for example, you're not positioned to take advantage of it, then you cannot blame anybody. It's definitely going to be a game changer. It may improve the economy of Pakistan in a very drastic manner, in a very positive manner, but provided we do our homework now.
What statistics do we have, Mr. Faheem, regarding economy? After a National Action Plan was introduced, we are having operation in Karachi and other parts of Pakistan. How do you think that NAP is going to improve the economy?
I think it started some time ago. It's not even happening right now. I think it's accelerating right now. You have to look at ground realities. If I can just say something about the CPEC, which Ambassador Saab so rightly pointed out. The CPEC, in our opinion, is not just a road. It is like the Suez Canal of the East, and it's a very big canal, a road canal. And it's not going to be, in my opinion, a straight line. It's going to be a Y. It's going to eventually branch off into Russia, and the eastern part goes into China. So this is way beyond what we're even trying to sort of imagine. So there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of stuff that we can do. Now, coming back to let's say, I'll use the word again, the resilience of our economy. As soon as in any society you have a bit of law and order, the first thing that happens is people get back to work. And if they were already at work, they just accelerate their work. According to some of my market intelligence, I've heard that in Karachi, in a distance of approximately 22 kilometers, 30 new high-rise buildings have started off in the past 2 months. Why? Now, this is something very serious,
right,
because these are like high-rise buildings, because now they're comfortable. They want to do it. The only way to develop is to develop. You can't just talk about it, you have to do it. But of course, a precursor to that, a prerequisite to that is to have some kind of social semblance of sanity. Once that starts to prevail, all of a sudden, money starts to flow in. And we have to bear in mind that there's so much money in Pakistan which is just not being brought into the mainstream just yet. We have to, if this continues for 6 more months, you're going to see a lot of new, for example, construction projects, a lot of new businesses coming up. And the end gain has to be the nation of Pakistan,
right,
with a rise in GDP.
Things are going to better, certainly, Mr. Shahid, only when we have the right kind of people at the right kind of right place. National Action Plan obviously is going to curb these terrorists, the sleeper cells, and Yesterday, we also heard about that Chaudhry Nishar, the Interior Minister, also made the speech that in a press briefing that all these seminaries are going to be checked. We are going to check where the funding is coming from, and that should be through banks. And no madrasa should be allowed to take funding directly from any country. And that is something I think which is going to change the mindset and consequently the culture that we need for a better economy.
There cannot not have been a better news than that. I've been talking on this forum for the last 1.5 years. Please look at these institutions. They're a hotbed of, believe it or not, I mean, what can I say? Meaning, instead of these institutions, the madrasas, making them partners, using their facility to reform and allow these students to study, let them study the mainstream education also. There are scholars like Professor Gandhi, who's been talking on the television for the last many decades and saying that this is not the way to educate the youth. Okay, yes, these are poor children who are studying in the madrasas. Let them be partners. Let the government of Pakistan look after them, but give them mainstream education. Otherwise, believe it or not, they would look at us as we are from the Mars, and they will say they are from the Mars. If they do not, you see, small children, I see them on the road. Small children.
But there is also a debate. What if the people, let's say, opt for this kind of education? This is their choice.
Sir, the thing is, education is government's job all over the world, right from the 4 caliphs till today. All over the world, education and health has been the government's, wherever you go, this is government's job. It's our job. When, as a father, it's my job to tell my children till they become adult which type of life they have to lead. It's the duty of the government of Pakistan to make education, primary education till class 12, compulsory and free. If you don't do that, then you will find these children in this trap, where small children get into that. When they are at the age of 17, 18, they are not ready for the mainstream life. What will they do? They start asking questions as to, you see, look at the question they ask. Why are ladies driving cars? Why are ladies being teachers? Because they've been taught that they have to be secluded away from the mainstream. So let me allow me to finish. So the government of Pakistan's decision to reform madrasa education is in the right direction. Take them as partners. Let these heads of the madrasas be part to be monitored and allow no external funding. If the government of Pakistan is duty bound to help and assist them, no external funding, because external funding brings their own the agendas of the foreign countries.
Mr. Faheem, how would you evaluate this policy of funding that is going to go to the madrasas?
Finance is the blood of life, I say. So I mean, if you put that finance in a particular direction, suddenly you see economic life, you see some stuff happening. I mean, this is a very simplistic way of looking at things, but Pakistan is a very free country. You can do anything you want here. It's very strange. I mean, you can't do these things abroad. You can't set up NGOs. You can't do this. You can't do that. You have to have permission. If something goes wrong, you get into trouble. Only now we've started tightening things up. And it's just, I think, the tip of the iceberg. Okay, I'll give an alternative solution to this. Keep people economically busy. Give them a job. Teach them how to do something. I mean, engage them in something, and it doesn't matter if they've got a foot-long beard or a tiny beard or no beard at all. Does not matter. Keep them economically engaged. And all of a sudden, you see their focus is like, okay, fine, this is...
But how is that possible if, let's say, the economy is going through a turmoil? Mostly people would go for a government job. How many of them would actually go for entrepreneurship or anything like that? How can we engage people?
I think this is one point where I would respectfully disagree, because actually most people would want to have their own business. They're just too scared. They're too scared to...
masters.
Exactly. Why not be your own master? I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, they're just scared of the taxation system. They're scared of the regularity.
So what do we lack? Infrastructure? What do we lack? Opportunities or what?
I don't think we lack opportunities. I think we lack the herding. You have to herd the nation towards a direction. That's what the Chinese do. That's the most closest example we have right now. I won't talk about India, because India is a gray area. It's not doing as well as we think it is. you have to herd your nation towards a particular agenda. Now, if we are to basically help people become economically self-reliant, you have to provide them certain desired techniques. Every nation on earth, every tribe has a certain ability to do something very well. Let's not kill that. Let's not replace that with a gun. Give them some kind of a business. If they're good at with stones, let them deal in stones. If they're good with sand, let them deal in sand. This is very basic stuff. I mean, but believe me, it has a massive multiplier effect, economically speaking. What did the...
But for that, we need to have an environment. And
You
for
have
that
an environment.
we need to have, obviously, the correct kind of policy.
Ishmael, once again, I just want to add to what you're saying. I think you need to have a plan. You've got SMEDA, you've got every kind of institution that you can imagine, you've got it in Pakistan. You just need a plan, a monolithic ideology that you get all these institutions active.
So do you think, Mr. Shahid, that now the things are going in the right direction? Talking about the plan, we have the National Action Plan, and after that, maybe the second step would be to actually bring the people in the mainstream economy, ask them to have their own business and entrepreneurship.
Let me just add to it, as I talked about reform the curricula of the schools, where you teach them, educate them that, to be more tolerant, to be tolerant to other sects and other religions is very extremely important. As the children grow, they look at people, they need to have a secular outlook to life. There is no need to be secular. Say outlook to life, everybody is equal, everybody is fine. It's very important. Second thing is regarding the skills. I just have to say one thing to you. Right. Look at the German and the Swiss system, where after the age of 10, 11, they look at a child and see what skills he has. As my friend, the economist, has been saying, very rightly said, that if some child is better in this, put him on that direction. Don't force him to become a doctor. He wants to become some sort of artisan. So these skills, you will slowly and steadily, you will improve the skills of the people. There should be no problem. If somebody is there in a madrasa or is there in a school, it hardly matters. You should look at the inborn skills the child has, right, so that when he grows up, he chooses a occupation which he likes, which he enjoys.
Right. After National Action Plan is implemented, would be needing, as Ambassador Shahid said, skilled workers. Now, for that skilled workers, do you think that the government should be coming up with policies, or that we should invite people from the private sector as well, from the corporations who should help people to come in and have these businesses?
Both. You can't do anything without the government, and you can't do anything without the private sector. It's when they sit at the table, when they come to a logical conclusion, will you ever achieve anything. Any nation on earth that has made economic progress as well as solid national progress, you have to have the government and the private sector sitting together. They have to look in the same direction. You can't be glaring at each other. You have to look in the same direction. Okay, you do that part, I'll take care of the rules and regulations. Now, there are too many examples for this. I won't get into that. But right now, we can see that Pakistan has taken a new turn. But this needs to be further galvanized. It needs to be furthered. If the private sector is ignored one more time, it's just going to cause you another 7 years of misery. Why not listen? Okay, if the private sector is saying, don't tax us like this, tax us like this, what's the problem here? Because it is very simple. If you earn 1 rupee, you can spend 1 rupee. It's actually pretty simple. You can't spend something that you don't have, but that's exactly what sort of starts to happen. If your private sector is there, how can you not succeed? Actually, that is the question. Okay, fine, I'm a little aggressive, but that's the only way out of this problem. We have a beautiful window of opportunity. Costs are low, oil is cheap, interest rates are low, your internal remittance system is improving. For Pakistanis living abroad are sending you record levels of foreign currency. This is like, I think, a 6 to 18 month maximum window of opportunity where we need to get people back to work.
Mr. Shahid, your last remarks on National Action Plan, what feature do you see of National Action Plan and its implementation?
The National Action Plan is going, I tell you, in the right direction. You see, look at the optics where the military and political leadership sit together. Now they become more regular. They used to be, now they are sitting regular. The momentum is there. and the support of the people are there. People are now fully supporting political community leadership to go in the right direction and try to bring sanity and semblance and political stability and security in the cities and towns, so that, as the Economist was saying very rightly, Mr. Haidar saying, that people should get back to work. You cannot allow, unemployment. Unemployment can only be tackled by this way.
Mr. Faheem Sardar, my last question. The operation in Karachi, since Karachi, we can say, is the backbone of Pakistan's economy, how do you think that this operation in Karachi can help Pakistan's economy?
Well, of course, I mean, Karachi is a hub, and to further strengthen Karachi, I've always said that the businesses in Karachi need to diversify. They need to spread themselves across Pakistan. That would actually give Karachi some breathing space. Karachi is not Karachi. Karachi is an amalgam of approximately 15 to 18 cities. So it's like a mega city. So if Karachi is in peace, then you basically have a lot going for Pakistan. I keep asking people one question: what is south of Karachi? They can't answer this question. I'm like, Antarctica is to the south of Karachi, to the south of Dubai and all these important ports. You have deserts to the south. You've got open seas. You've got everything. So Karachi, Gwadar, Pasni, and other places are very important.
Mr. Shahad Kani, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Faheem Sardar, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Today we discussed about National Action Plan and also about 9/11 and its effects on Pakistan. Essentially, there was a time when Pakistan was going through a turmoil and chaos, but now things are getting better. As Mr. Faheem Sardar said, that the economy is on the rise, it's accelerating. We have better opportunities in Pakistan, and we hope for peace, and Pakistan stands for peace. Thank you so much for watching today's program. See you next week. Khuda Hafiz.